Hey guys, Logan Hicks here. So we're going to do a piece today on one of my favorite topics that I'm very passionate about, and that is time management. Now, one of the biggest issues in today's time with time management is most people don't have it, and that's a big problem. The biggest issue in today's time with successful people is successful people manage their time exceptionally well, whereas in unsuccessful people, as you will very soonly see, do not. They have very strong issues with time management, and that's normally because they're very distracted. That's why you keep seeing all these talks about laser focused, whatever that means. Because if you understand anything about lasers, they take multiple collective things and string them together. And there's the concepts and talks that you see about laser focus is actually them stipulating or insinuating that you should strip everything else in your life completely out and ignore everything else and laser focus on that one thing. Where again, like I said, if you understand anything about physics and lasers, most lasers are actually aggregations of multiple megawatt beams combined together, and you're going to see that reflected in my schedule, which is it's not so much about being laser focused and more so about being actually focused and just being good in your time management and utilization of resources. But let's go ahead and jump in here. So the biggest issue that I find more than anything else is understanding the basics, which the three very basic things, which is the requirements, the activities, and the desired outcome, which is actually really simple. Now, when you say what is it that you want to focus on? What is it that you need? What is it that I want from life? What is it that I want from life? And the easiest thing to do with that is literally take a chart and put your wants and your needs. Everything else is garbage. It's gone. It's just gone. Everything else goes to the garbage bin. Those are my requirements. I need this in my life. A requirement is not a want, it is a need. I need it. I have to have it. I can't live without it. And this is a thing that I absolutely need. This defines the winners from the losers. What do I want? I want a family. I want to be successful. I want to be wealthy. Whatever your case may be. You want to be wealthy. Whatever. You want a Ferrari. I don't know. Who knows? What do you need? What do you absolutely have to have? What is it that one thing that you would give everything else up for? For me, I want to rebuild the effective Belmont family. I want a successful family that's well structured, that's set up for success for forever, where we go and we take on the biggest, baddest monsters in the world and we take them down. In a fairy tale sense, the Belmont family existed to hunt down monsters and slay them, whether it was Dracula or Minotaurs or Cyclopses, whatever the case may be. In reality, that may not necessarily be a cyclops. It may be pay gap issues for gender equality and understanding the real problems behind that. Or air pollution, water pollution that's going to kill our planet if we don't do something about it. Whether that's maybe stopping the abuse or exploitation of women and children or homeless veterans. Real problems and slaying the monster. Now, that's what I want for myself. That's what I need for myself. That is my drive. That is my desire. And I have spent the better part of literally 20 plus years of my 28-year life pursuing that. That is my need. That is my drive. That is what I wake up for every day. That is what I will miss Christmases for, Thanksgivings for. I will miss birthdays for. I will miss whatever I need to miss. I need to miss in order to make that happen. The key difference is need. It's a requirement. I have to be somewhere else. Not that I want to be somewhere else. Not that it's convenient for someone else for me to be somewhere else. But I must be there. That is the distinctive difference. Now, once you understand that, you can set up the activities, and then you can set up desired outcomes. But we're going to cover those in more detail here. So requirements, like I said, what is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you need to achieve in order to make this a reality? What is your need? Has X objectives. I have a need, and under my need, I have objectives that I must complete in order to make that successful dream come to fruition. I must achieve these. So where am I now? I'm here. Where do I want to be? Over there. How do I get there? From A to Z, what are the steps required to get there? What do I think they are? They may not be necessarily accurate, but I can change them later. And what are the objectives for accomplishing that? Like I said, what do I need to do to get there? What are the steps I need to take? Do I need to go and build companies? Do I need to go and build a giant house? Do I need to go build this awesome vampire slaying whip? Who knows? What are the needs? What are the requirements? And the activities. What are the activities that I need to do? What are the things, the actual things I need to do? I know my objectives, but what are the actual actions that I need to take? So objective 1 may have 3 actions. I may need to found a company. I may need to buy a company. And I may need to create something. Each of those are actions. These activities specifically and actively dictate what I need to do in order to become a successful individual in this area of requirements. Your objectives directly correlate to the activities. Otherwise, strip out the objective and move forward. Because if the activity isn't directly correlated to the objective, something is wrong. And you need to pull it out, continue on with your other objectives until you come back to that objective, which will then be more well defined. So say, for instance, I need to go build a company. I don't know how to go build a company. I'm going to move forward with creating something, and then I will build a company later. Once I've created my thing, I will now have a better understanding of what my company needs to be. But as you see, I'm moving the objective out of the way. I'm stripping it out of the way. I'm continuing on with the other objectives until the objectives that I've completed help me formalize a better picture. It's just like connecting the dots. If I've got 5 dots and I don't know how to go to here, that's fine. I'll go to here, I'll go to here, I'll go to here, I'll go to here. And then in the process, I know the only way I can go from any one of these points is here. And that's how you build the picture better. And that helps you get a well-structured system. Now, once you've got all your objectives, you've correlated everything to your activities, you have to build a schedule. That means you have to start managing your time effectively and start actively engaging these required actions in order to achieve these objectives. You need to start planning. You need to start structuring yourself well around these objectives. You need to start structuring your life around achieving these objectives, because these objectives, these actions directly correlate to what you need from life. And then that gets to desired outcomes. What are your desired outcomes? What do you need to have? Me, I need to be the Belmont family. I need to build this empire. I need to make sure that all of my children have everything that they need to ensure that the only thing they need to focus on is what I need them to have. And that's everything else, so that the only thing that they can focus on, because there's nothing left to focus on, is achieving objectives and fixing problems. Which means I have to uniquely structure my system around the fact of funneling them towards that problem before they're even born. And that presents unique challenges. Welcome to my need. It's an incredibly unique situation, requiring incredibly sophisticated systems over an incredibly collaborative environment, which is why I have 63 companies to fix these problems. Now, once you have the objectives, you have to adjust. I am constantly adjusting, constantly adding in new requirements, constantly taking requirements out, constantly moving things over, kicking things down, bringing things forward. I'm constantly moving things around to the point where I had to get a system like Jira to help me manage everything. It gets incredibly complicated after a while, and that's okay. Welcome to running a business. Welcome to having a dream. It's not going to be easy. If it was, we would just go buy a dream off the shelf. It'd be like a Care Bear or a Build-A-Bear. Build a dream workshop. It's not that easy, and that's life. Sorry. But once you have these objectives, you really have to stick to it. You really got a gun for it. You really have to say, I have XYZ. I have a need for XYZ. I have a dream. I have a requirement. I cannot give it up. I will not give it up, and I'm not going to stop. I don't care what I have to do to keep pushing forward. If you're not fitting into the structure of my life from what I want from life, I'm sorry, but you're gone. I've lost 3 relationships because either A, my partner didn't see the dream, B, my partner didn't support the dream, or C, they actively pushed against my dream. And in all 3 cases, they ended up single. And I'm more than happy to do that. I loved each of these women. They were amazing women. Sometimes I still miss them. But that's the reality, is they didn't see the future for our family. For the family that we will have for the rest of eternity, they chose to go for themselves instead of going for my dream and my family. And my family, which will be all of our generations. And yes, in my dream, it requires sacrifice. I will live my entire life for my family. And that's unfortunate for me, as you'll see in my schedule. But that's the requirements, and those are the decisions for the desired outcome you have to make. They will be hard decisions. You will have to sit down and say, do I stay with this person? Do I kick this person out of my life? I've removed friends from my life. I've removed associates from my life. I've removed companies from my life. I've removed very valuable partnerships from my life. I've removed partners themselves from my life because they are obstructing my objectives, my actions, and my desired outcomes. Now, understanding where you are, I'm going to go ahead and give you a breakdown of your life right now. The average American and the average person spends on average 11 hours a day on social media and other forms of media, be it Netflix, be it TV, football, basketball, soccer, listening to music. You're spending a massive amount of time just dealing with media. Almost half your entire active day is gone towards, your entire active day, over half of it is gone towards media. Your entire actual day is gone towards this stuff. So it's a huge vacuum of your time. The next thing is sleep. You spend about 8 hours to 8.5 hours on average individual sleeping. And then on top of that, you're spending about an hour, a little over an hour eating. And then 3 hours goes to everything else, be it your work schedule, your active schedule towards integrations between other things such as dealing with family matters. Sometimes you'll spend a lot of that time cross-correlating and cross-pollinating in the social media time. Spending that time frame just Netflix and chilling, whatever the case may be. But a lot of time is just wasted actively, and it's heartbreaking, which is also why the rule of 80-20 actually works. So the rule of 80-20 is quite simple. The rule of 80-20 stipulates, which has been backed by science and research, sadly enough, that 80% of work is done by 20% of people, which is directly correlated with a layoff, effective simulated layoff that a company did where they actively paid people, they paid them to not come to work. How crazy is that? They paid them to not come to work, and productivity went up. How crazy is that? 80% of the people were paid to not come in, and productivity went up. Went up. That is insane. That is deplorable. But that graph right there is the reason why. Because of the time spent at work, about 3 hours is actual work. 2 to 3 hours is actually working. You'll get in 9 o'clock. You'll clock in about 9:15, 9:30. You've been at work since about 9. You'll starting work at about 11 because you're sitting down, you're not really working, you're just kind of catching up with your emails, maybe reading some Facebook stuff, some jokes that your friend sent you, checking out some memes, maybe looking at that house that you got a response back to, maybe looking at a response to another job that you were looking at because your current one's unmeaningful. And then you'll get over at about 11 o'clock, 12 to those first tasks that are sitting in your queue. You'll see those. You'll be like, I'll get around to these after lunch. You'll come in after lunch. That's about 1 o'clock, your 1 hour lunch break. You're back at lunch. You'll work from about 1 to about 3:30, maybe 4. And then at 4, you're preparing to leave at 5. So you're spinning up. You're getting a hold of the kids. Hey, honey, what do you want to eat for dinner? Hey, Julie, check this thing out that I found, blah, blah, blah. You're wasting time on social media. before and after. I've correlated this on active traffic, which is why I actively put in throttles on Blue Coat for social media to specifically target the times where you would be supposed to be working, and it slows down your bandwidth. And that's because I want you to be actively working, and I believe you should be actively working, and I'm doing what HR has told me to based on what I've sent them on feedback from what I've seen you not working. And so we'll throttle your bandwidth, which is how and why mysteriously and magically at work, a lot of times your system starts to slow down. That's really because HR has told us to slow it down, and that's because they want you actually doing your job. But they want to be passive about it, or passive aggressive as I like to put it. But that's what ends up happening with your time. You end up getting about 3 hours of work done. And unfortunately, that's also why your businesses and your dreams are unsuccessful. Here's a breakdown of my schedule. As you'll notice, the direct correlation, just looking at the graphs themselves, you've got about 5 or 6 items on the average person's. You've got dozens on mine. And that's because I am super busy all the time. I'm constantly doing something else. I'm moving from task A to task B to task C to task D. I've got a small amount of flex time. I'll move things around in my schedule. I've got work time, 40 hours, FTE. I've got company time, 30 hours. I'm working actively in both. I'm spending a minimum of 70 hours. I've got time for family. I've got time for food. I've got time for sleep. I've got some time in there for working out. I've got time in there for hygiene. I've got time in there for learning. I allocate about 5% of my time, total collective 168 hours per week. I allocate about 5%, 8.5 hours. It's about 0.1 over 8.4, which is 5% of that time frame, actively and directly towards learning. I am constantly improving myself so I can constantly move my objectives, change my objectives to ensure I reach my desired outcome, whatever that may be. And so I'm actively pushing to make sure that I'm successful. And these are the things you have to do. It is unfortunate that I had to sit down with my family and say, hey, this is how I'm going to achieve my objectives. These are my desired outcomes. These are my dreams. I've already told you these. You knew these coming through the door. Here's my new schedule. This is how I'm going to start pursuing this in a more active role. This is how I'm going to modify my current active role and how I'm going to change it around to ensure that I can move those desired outcomes, because I want to have that family and I'm having issues with family time. So, okay, I'm going to shift that schedule and I'm going to shift things around to more allocate things towards A or B, and I'm going to move C to a different priority, D to a different priority. Okay, you want to spend more time with me? Well, I'm going to stop showering at night, start showering in the morning. And it's just small things, small changes here and there, and these are how you tweak these schedules to make it really work and fit for you. And these are the things you have to do to be successful, and it's unfortunate. It really is. It really sucks. But to get that understanding of success, to get that need, that drive that you have to have, these are the sacrifices you have to make. You have to micromanage your time, and you have to micromanage it very, very well. And that drops us into the do's and don'ts, which is you need to spend time with your family. You still have to have a family, regardless of what you want to do, what you want to be. Unless you are single and you have no intentions of ever having a wife, having a kids, having a family, or having really close, dedicated friends who are actually your family, these are the do's. You don't want to be Scrooge. That's the guy you don't want to be. Yeah, he's successful and he's miserable, and we all know the outcome of that movie. Work long hours. You're going to have to work long hours. If you want what you need, and you want that want to become an actual need, you got to earn it. I'm sorry, but working 30 hours a week in this new crazy, ridiculous social trend of I'll work 30 hours and then I'll do more, no, that's complete garbage. And the rules of diminishing returns do not apply to people who need something. When you need something, if you are starving to death, you are not going to work that 30 hours and then be like, oh, well, I can't put any more time in because it's not going to matter. No, you're going to put in that extra time, you're going to push harder, and you're going to get that food because you're going to die if you don't. That is when your want has become a need. If it doesn't kill you, if you don't have it, you don't need it. And that's the distinctive difference. I will die before I will give up on my need. I will die. I've almost died 4 times pursuing mine. And I will keep pushing hard, and if I die, good. I died in the pursuit of it, and I probably got it in the process. Because I will die before I will fail. And that is the distinctive difference between me and most other people. They're not willing to die for what they're after. They're not willing to die for what they need. And that's the distinctive difference. If you're not willing to die, if you're not willing to bleed, if you're not willing to lose sleep and starve and miss meals and miss special occasions, you don't need it. You want it. And that's the distinctive difference. And that's downgrading what you need to what you want because you're willing to sacrifice what you need for something else. Which means, realistically, you should have a conversation with yourself. If you're willing to sacrifice what you need for something else, maybe what you need isn't really what you need. And you should do some self-reflection to look at what you really need in life. Because each of us needs something different. And each of us are willing to give up something else for something else. And that's just the reality. It's very close to what the law of equivalent exchange. You have 168 hours. If you give up 2 hours over here, you gain 2 hours over there. And that's just simple math. But that's an equivalated exchange. But what are you giving up to gain something else? And what is that something else? But that jumps into our other piece, which is work efficiently. You can simply change your efficiencies and gain that time back. That's exactly what I did. If you look back at my schedule, you see here, there's time for everything except for me. If you'll notice on here, there is no time for me, which is fine. Because I openly said I'm willing to give up everything else for myself in order to have my need. I'm willing to take everything and boil that down into oblivion and watch it evaporate so that I can have what I need, which is a successful family. I am putting and sacrificing myself for my family, and that's okay. I have accepted that loss, and that's a good loss. That is an acceptable term. And that is my equivalent exchange. That is my efficiency increase. If I sacrifice me wasting an average of 40 to 50 hours a week of time on myself, and I allocate that towards my company, towards my family, towards my self-improvement, I will have what I need. The only cost is everything else for me. And that's okay. Now, the things you cannot give up is your health. You have to work out and eat healthy. Now, sure, you can push yourself to the brink of death. That's fine. Like I said, I've done that several times, but I've achieved major objectives in doing so, and I didn't actually die. That's the distinctive difference. Otherwise, it'd be really impressive that I'm sitting here now, because that would mean that I'd be dead and still talking, which would be awesome, and definitely something employers will be interested in, is you can die and keep working. That makes you effectively a robot. Now, I work out. Do I work out like I used to? Absolutely not. I do a 30-minute workout followed up by a 30-minute hygiene cycle. So you need to wash yourself after you go work yourself out, because that's nasty. So you go shower right after you work out. Same thing I did in the military. I'd work out for 30 minutes to an hour, and then I'd hit the shower, and then I'd hit the ground running. That's exactly what I do, is I start working right after I work out. I wake up 4 o'clock, my workout time, 4:30 to 4 to 4:30. My hygiene time is 4:30 to 5. Right after 5, I hit the bricks, man. I am right to work, 5 o'clock in the morning. You guys probably aren't even going to see this video until 9 o'clock. I'm up at 7, man. This right now is 7:13. I've been up since 4. And that's my schedule. I'm up crazy early, and I'm taking full advantage of that time that's freed up, that's not even available in most people's schedules, because you're wasting your time and not managing it properly. Now, getting over to excessive social media. This is a killer, an absolute killer. Look at this schedule. That green, that light, ugly, like ocean, Gulf of Mexico green, is 11 hours a day. That is the assessed national, maybe even global average of social media usage. That is insane. Between sleep and social media, there goes 60+% of your life. That is atrocious. Don't waste it on excessive media. Limit yourself to 2 hours a day, broken up into increments like I do, so I can see this stuff as I'm moving forward. I see it in snapshots, and then I keep moving forward, man. It's just, that's what you need to do. Don't spend time off track. Look at my schedule here. I'll actually pull it up so that you guys can see it, the actual color coding. I'm actually going to share this out there. You guys can see this here. Let me drag it over here. You can actually see that. This is my actual schedule. This is how my hours are broken up. Look at this block. Do you see anything where there's space? There is no space in this block. It is blocked off on 30-hour increments, 30-minute increments, and there is no space. This pink space, that's my flex space. That is my blank space. Notice there's very, very little pink at all. And that is because I don't like hot pink. If I see hot pink on my schedule, there's a problem because I've got too much extra space to waste. Now, if you'll also notice, I try to keep my flex time towards the weekends. And that's specifically for my family, my friends, any catch-up time. I've got an extra block here for an hour. Maybe I need to spend it with my kids. Maybe I need to spend it with my partner. Maybe I need to spend it with, I don't know, the neighbor. I need to go outside and weed whack something that I missed, or I need to go polish some boots. 4 to 4:30, 9:30 to 9 to 10 o'clock, and then I've got a block here in 9 and 9:30. Very, very little amount of time, but that's because I want to make sure that my time is allocated efficiently while also reasonably. If you look at my transportation time, it's got an allocation space. I've got allocation space for my workouts, my hygiene, eating, my family. I've got time in there allocated for, obviously, a full-time job. While I'm still working full-time, while I'm working on my companies, I'll eventually merge those together, and then I'll do a partial time reclamation on the other system, because I've got 40 on full-time, I've got 30 on the company. I can take 70, make that the dual merger, 70 hours on the company, and then effectively split off an additional 10 off of that, and throw that to my family, and increase my time. That is my reward for my family. When I make a successful to the point to where I can fully quit my jobs, and I can fully work on my companies, and they're fully self-sustaining to the point to where I want them to be, I'll kill that safety net, and then I'll work full-time on that. 60 hours a week, my family gets 10 more hours. That increases their time with me by 50%. That is a good reward for them for being successful and standing there with me and helping me get to where I want to be. At the same time, it's also increasing the amount of time I'm spending on my companies, specifically by a substantial amount, by over 60%. So I'm having huge increases over here, I'm having huge increases over here, and at the same time, I'm actually gaining time back. But that's what it means to manage that time and to manage it effectively. Now, one of the things you'll notice here on my schedule that's very important that I absolutely want to cover is breaks in your stream. If you'll notice here, it's not fragmented. It's blocks of color, and it just goes. I complete my tasks with very, very few exceptions, which is where I'm also forcing in time for my family. That's the only one in here that's really fragmented, and my time for my company. But that's because I actually have this broken in the way I want it to. I want blocks during the day so I can prepare for any conversations that I have coming up. At the same time, I block off standard 9 to 5, but then I also have time on the weekends. I also have time on the weekend nights, and I also have time late at night in case something comes up. That time is there specifically because if something comes up last minute, last moment, I've allocated that time to address that problem for the next work day schedule. Not for my current time, not to interfere with my sleep. I have 1 hour every night during the standard work week to say, hey, something's come up, this is the issue, I'm going to take that, put that in the block, move that into the next schedule, and we'll address this in the morning. That is how you deal with these issues. They come up, you do not just emergency freak out, jump on a plane, fly into sky heaven. No, you stop, you say, I need to address this in a structured manner, I need to address this as per the plan, I have a plan, we take this, we move this to the next day, we address it in the morning. That's how you do it. That's how you don't overwork your employees, that's how you don't overwork yourself, and that's how you keep from breaking your schedule. Because my time is company time. That is what I need. That time right there, 30 hours a week, guaranteed. I spend no less than 20% of my entire collective time moving towards my objectives, plus 21 hours for my family. So that's 50. That's over 30% of my time is moving towards my needs. And that's also with time allocated for a full-time job to ensure that I've got that allocated. I've got to pre-allocate it to ensure I have a safety net built in so that I don't sacrifice my family, so I guarantee that I'm moving that block ever forward. No matter what happens, that block is always moving closer and closer to my end goal. But that's how you do it, guys. If you got any questions, please let me know. I know it's a lengthy video, but it's the best 30 minutes of your life you'll ever spend. learning how successful people actually successfully manage their time in a very structured manner to the micromanagement level. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your comments. If you like, please subscribe. We're going to punk out a lot more movies, a lot of more of these series, and I definitely look forward to producing them. Thanks so much, guys.